Hey everybody, it's Norman Will back for another episode of Behind the Garage Door, a follow-up episode, if you will. If you recall, a little while ago, a couple episodes ago, we went and saw our friend named Lee, who had that slick Woody, the red Woody. Well, he got his other car back from the shop that he was working on, and we're going to head that way and check him out. So I figure since we're going to see Lee's cool Corvette, we should take a cool Corvette. All right, so we made it back out to Land O'Lakes to Lee's house. Thank you so much for inviting us back out.
Very welcome.
So when we were here last time, we saw your 07 Vet, we saw your blue Corvette, and we saw that magnificent Woody. So I hope everybody enjoyed that episode. And we talked about another Corvette that Lee has that you said you were having some stuff done to it.
Yep.
And it wasn't here, but you invited us back out because the car is back.
Right.
All right, so for the second time, let's see what's behind Lee's garage door. All right, Lee, so 61 Corvette, and this car is significant to you personally because you've had it for how long?
44 years.
44 years Lee has had this car. So let's start from the beginning. Where did you find it? Let's just start there.
Okay. Well, let me go way back when I was a little kid.
So hold on a second. Before we did, 44 years ago was 1979. 79. Okay, all right, let's go.
Well, in 1960, I was 8 years old going on 9, and Route 66 came out. Mm-hmm. And I saw
61
that.
Vet.
Well, it was a 60.
Oh, okay.
And I said, I got to have one of those cars when I get big. Well, now we fast forward, and where I kind of lived, I was born in Tampa. We lived there till 1962. My dad moved out near 52 and 41 because of his business and stuff. Well, there was only one gas station on the corner, the Standard Oil station. The guy had a son and 2 daughters. His son was about 6 years older than me.
Okay.
So that's where I spent my days, hanging around him and all the hot rods.
I remember that story, yep, from our last episode. I remember that.
And then there was a guy that lived close by. He had a 64 Corvette convertible.
Okay.
And I can remember riding in that car as a little test run. And I said, I got to have one of these. So
your thing is from the time you were little, C2 Vet was your thing?
Yeah, C1, C2. But I really didn't think too much about the C1s until I got this one. Mm-hmm. And the story on this one, my wife had an accident with our car.
Okay.
And this friend of mine, he had a Mustang, 67 or 68 Mustang that he bought new, and I asked him if he wanted to sell it. And he said, no. He said, but I'll sell you my Corvette. And I said, well, how much? He said, well, he says it needs a radiator and a rocker arm put on it. He said, I'll take $3,200 for it. And I said, well, I got to have a car that my wife can go to work in. So
that was a steep number back then, too.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So the following year, 1979, I asked him if he still had the car for sale. He said, yeah. He said, I need to sell it because I'm building a house.
Okay.
And I said, what do you want for it? They put a new radiator in it and fix a rocker arm and all that. $3,500.
$200 increase.
Yep. Now the thing I could...
$300 increase, I can't do that.
The thing I can say about it, well, it was red, but it was faded out.
Okay.
The interior was well worn. I mean, it was pretty
rough,
but the car screamed like crazy. This car would run, boy. I could get big blocks of fit coming off the line.
Holy wow.
I mean, it was, when he built the motor, he built it right.
What engine was in it when you bought it?
When I bought it, it had a 327.
Okay, all right.
And it was a good motor. I wish I'd never gotten rid of it, but I did. But anyway, I started working. What was funny, I had to borrow $1,000 from my dad. And so when I got the money and when I got the car, I drove it out. He didn't tell me, but he told my mom. He said, I think he wasted his money. So, but about 6-8 months later, he started changing his tune a little bit.
Okay.
So he started seeing some of the work that I was doing to it. I basically stripped the car down and took it right down to the glass. And then I painted it myself.
You painted this car?
The first time.
Okay, all right.
The first time.
All right.
I painted it back red with the white cove.
Okay.
And it looked okay, and it looked all right. But my paint job wasn't that good. Well, my dad knew a guy that leased a body shop from my dad. So he said he would paint it. So he painted it back red. They used enamel on it. A lot of orange peel and stuff. And I kind of block sanded it, kind of smoothed it out a little bit. And I lived with it for about 8 years.
Okay.
Well, let's see, now my son's 42, about 23 years ago.
Okay.
Or 24 years ago, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I took it back down again.
All right.
Well, I had a guy that said he was good with fiberglass. So he came out and started working on it, but then he scared me when he brought a book out that's how to work with fiberglass.
How to work with fiberglass for dummies.
That didn't last very long. Well, I had a good friend of mine working with me, and he said, I'll help you get that car. So we blocked this thing for about 50 hours. And I mean, one guy told me, he says, it'll never be original because they weren't that straight from the factory.
They weren't.
I mean, this still got some spots, but hey, you got 2 amateurs doing this. Well, then a guy came by one day and he said, you gonna paint that car yourself? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, if I found a good painter, I might let him paint. He said, I'll paint it. He sprayed it with chroma base, put a couple of coats of clear on it, and
here it is.
there it is.
So what made you decide to go black with the red coves? Was the interior already red?
The interior was already red.
Okay, so it was originally red with white coves, red interior.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. So what made you go black with red coves?
I like black cars.
All right, fair enough.
When I got this car, it didn't have any of that chrome on it.
Okay.
They had filled all the holes. There's 36 holes on each side that holds those things on.
So it's a removable hardtop?
Yes,
Nice. It has a soft top as well?
I have the soft top as well.
I've only seen a handful of these that were actually removable hardtop, and I think every top has always been white.
Yeah.
We had at the dealership, we had a fawn beige 61
Okay.
with a 283 Power Glide, but it didn't have the removable hardtop, but it had the soft top, and it was white, but we never put it up.
Yeah.
You know, with that fawn beige and the interior that was in, I can't remember the name of that color. Why would you ever put the top up on the car? Wow.
So usually, if I don't want that, I just take the top off.
Is it a pain to take off?
Yeah. When I was younger, I could take it off pretty easy. Now I kind of struggle with it, but
Yeah.
I have to get my wife to help me sometimes. But
So
it's
what's
just awkward.
It's very awkward. It's not light either.
Yeah.
It even made of fiberglass. So what's under the hood of this one?
It's got a 350 in it right
Okay.
now.
All right.
But one thing about, I'm gonna back up to the show,
Yeah.
is the license plate,
It's a Slick 61, isn't it?
SLIK 61.
Okay.
The way that came about, at that car show, that mall show, they were giving out, trophies and stuff, and he said, we want to give this guy a plaque for all his hard work because he has got one Slick 61 over there. So that's how I said that sounded like a good tag number.
The bell went off.
Yep.
Absolutely. You know how you never know. You often wonder, when you see a vanity plate like that, how they came up with, and the story behind those is always pretty neat. So stockish 350.
Yeah. It's a Chevrolet. I bought it from Chevrolet.
Oh, it is a 4-speed.
4-speed. Yeah, got to have 4-speed in them.
What was I thinking?
Now the guy I bought this car from, he's a good friend, and I had seen him, probably about 15 years, 20 years after I bought it from him. And I told him what I'd done to it. He said, yeah, that's what my brother and I wanted to do. I said, you want to see? He said, no.
No. No.
And so now I just saw him not too long ago, about a couple months ago. And he said, you still got our car? I said, yeah. And I said, I got everybody wanting to buy it. And he said, well, I get first shot. I said, yeah, but you're not getting it for what I paid for it.
You're not getting it back for
No.
what I paid for
Yeah.
it. So how often do you get it out, Lee? Well, you just got it back, what, a week or two?
Yeah, I just brought it from my other shop. I put a rack and pinion steering on it. And I put disc brakes on the front. So
No harm, no foul in that.
yeah.
Because you drive it. You enjoy it.
I drive it.
Yeah.
I've driven it to Indiana twice.
See, this is why I'm so glad I met you, Lee, because even your Woody that we did the episode a few episodes ago, I'm flabbergasted that you've driven that car to Indiana twice, the Woody, and the paint on it is still flawless.
Yeah.
So this one with that engine, this combination, been to Indiana twice?
Well, a different engine. I had a 327 when I went to Indiana.
That had to be a rough ride all the way to Indiana. In this
Wasn't too bad.
So Lee, thank you again so much for inviting us back out and sharing your slick 61 Corvette with us. Now, last time we were here, you've got a 64,
Right.
The blue 64 Corvette that was up. If you remember, it was up on the lift, and what was underneath? Oh, the red car was red car was underneath it.
Yeah.
And you were telling me that's kind of a rowdy little engine, a little small block in it. And I'm like, man, hopefully I can get to hear it one day. Well, Lee made sure that he had it down off of the rack. And we're going to fire that up so that we can all enjoy what this thing sounds like now. You weren't kidding. Wow, that thing sounds incredible, Lee.
Yeah.
Do you know the specs on the engine, the cam, or anything else? Or
It's a 327.
it is a 327.
You got 10-to-1 pop-ups. 194 fuelies. It's got a factory cast iron intake. The cam, I don't remember the cam specs.
Is it a solid lifter cam?
No, it's hydraulic.
It is hydraulic.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. It sounds. Now, how often do you get to? We talked briefly about this car last time. How often do you get this out?
I used to drive this car to work every day.
In this configuration? Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It hasn't been on any long runs, but
Not to Indiana or anything.
yeah, not yet.
Give it time.
My wife, she says, I don't know if I want you to drive those old cars anymore. It might break down. I said, I can fix it.
That's the great thing about Lee. Knows a few things about fixing cars. Lee, sir, thank you so much for inviting us back out. Resharing the 64, finally getting to see the 61. Beautiful cars, of course, the Woody and your C6 Vet. Great collection. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
All right,
Thanks for coming.
We're going to head back out to the dealership and wrap it up. Lee, thank you so much for inviting us back out to your house and sharing your other cars. I mean, to have anything for as long as Lee has had that 61 Corvette is really, really cool. I've had my Camaro for 30 some years. He's got me beat by a solid decade on that 61 Vet. Thanks again, Lee. We really, really appreciate it. Keep checking back for more episodes of Behind the Garage Door.
Stingray Chevrolet, relax, enjoy the difference.